buyers save money and sellers do not have to discount the price because they have what every buyer wants. They have an assumable loan. This is important. 4 out of 5 realtors who I talk to, they think it's some kind of a creative thing where you're assuming the loan subject to the current loan and keeping it a secret. That is wrong, wrong, wrong. These are fully assumable loans where the buyer has to qualify. The buyer, I need income, assets, credit report. I have to show the ability and willingness that they will qualify so that the servicer will see our beautifully packaged loan product. We give them the assumption paperwork, and the bank says, heck yeah, we're going to approve it, because the bank wants to keep the servicing. The bank wants to keep the loan. The bank, even though the rate's at 3.5%, they want to keep it because the servicing cash flow, the servicing income is preserved. They keep the customer relationship. The seller is off the hook. No contingent liability. The seller's off the hook. Look at the benefits of assuming. It's right there. No appraisals required. If there's 27 years left on the assumable loan, the buyer picks up at 27 years. They literally, the buyer takes over formally and officially assumes the obligation. The seller waves goodbye. The seller is off the hook. There is no liability for the seller to allow a buyer to assume their beautiful, their gorgeous, and their magnificent loan. They have such beautiful loans that there's no way they're going to have to give any buyer concessions or price cuts, because they have what every buyer in America wants, which is a below market rate. And if it's at 4% or 2.5% or 3.5%, anything is better than today's market rate, by golly. So if you need the list, just, email me and we'll get you the list. And that way you can kind of see everything you need to see. The buyer advantages we've already gone over is, instead of paying, like 1 point for a loan, 1 whole point, buyers pretty much pay the servicing company. The bank will charge roughly $1,000. Our company, and it's backed by FHA pros, Chris Gardner, who's awesome. He handles the entire assumption for $2,500. That's it. So the buyer pays $2,500, and that's it for the, the cost to get in there, plus title, escrow, appraisal. But that's cheap. That's a great deal to get a 3.5% loan. So they're not paying 1 whole point. There's no buy down other than $2,500. What's in it for me? I work with Chris. I just want to get the $2,500 fee to handle the assumption paperwork with the servicer, with the buyer, with the seller, with the listing agent, and the buyer's agent. There's a lot of moving parts in there. I'm worth every penny of the $2,500 because the buyer pays it. The seller doesn't pay it. The seller does not pay that, okay? So that's why it's a great value. And don't forget the end. The end outcome is your buyer's going to get 3.5% loan in many of the examples here. 3.5%. The payment's lower, the rate's lower, it's more affordable, it's beautiful. It's a really good, legitimate thing where the buyer takes over and the seller is released of all liability. Literally.